Good morning, everybody, or good day, depending upon where in the world you're joining us today. We want to welcome you for attending this Vivid-sponsored webinar. The topic today is going to be how multiplying IT ops efficiency with HPE OpsBridge, and we're focusing on some of the customer success at Beiersdorf and Swiss Mobilair. Next slide, please. Again, this webinar is brought to you also by HPE Enterprise Software in conjunction with the Vivid organization. Good morning or good day. Again, there's probably attendees from all around the world. So my name is Robert Linton, and I am a member of the Vivid organization. I help co-chair some of the Total Quality Assurance SIGs and the U.S. Government Federal SIG in the Washington, D.C. area, and I've been involved with the application lifecycle management of software for almost 30 years and supporting the HP software tools for about the last 19 years. Next slide, please. We're very honored today to have two great speakers with us. Thomas Krestelek is the manager of IT services processes at Beiersdorf in Germany, and Daniel Boschbach is an engineer with Swiss Mobilair, and we want to welcome and thank them for their time today and their ability to speak to today's topic and present some of the successes they've had at their unique organizations. Next slide, please. So before we get started with today's webinar, there are a few housekeeping topics we'd like to go over. Remember, this is a live session and it is being recorded. All recordings are available to all Vivid members after a session has concluded. It might take a day or so for it to appear on the Vivid website, but if there's somebody in your organization or somebody you know that would like to see it, you can just refer them to go to the Vivid website and they can view those recordings there. At the end, we will have a questions and answer session, and during the presentation, if you have questions, you can enter your questions into the questions pane, which is on the right side of your screen, or should be on the right side of your screen, where you have these different drop-down boxes. We'll get to that in a second with the next slide. Next slide. So here's the webinar control panel that I was referring to. And if you look for this panel, normally it's on the right side of your screen when it comes up, you'll see that there's a section there called questions and chat. And that's where you would type in your question at the bottom and in this white field where it says type message here, and make sure that it's being sent to the organizers and panelists. So if you have questions during the webinar, please type them in there. We'll try to address as many of them as we can at the end of the session. And if we run out of time because there's so many great questions, then we'll answer all those questions and post them to the Vivid website after the webinar is concluded, like we do with the actual presentation. Thank you. Next slide, please.
Well, hello, my name is Daniel Boschbach, and I work for the Swiss Mobilair insurance company in Switzerland. I have to apologize right now. I'm sitting in a park. There might be some background noise. Today I will present to you how we are using the business value dashboard and in conjunction with the OpsBridge. If you can't measure it, you can't improve it. Peter Drucker said that back in one of his management books in the 19th century. We'll come to that a bit later. I will shortly go through the agenda here. First, we start with what does actually Mobilair do, and then the monitoring model that we developed, the dashboard that came from it, and what the measurable benefits were for our management as well as for our operation, and then the business value dashboard, how we can use the IT data as well as business KPIs. The Swiss Mobilair was founded in 1826 So it's the oldest insurance in Switzerland, and the legal form is a cooperative association, also called mutual company, meaning that all the members are sort of also the owner of the company. Switzerland's it's also Switzerland's #1 insurer of household items, as well as for business and pure risk life insurances. We are physically close to customers with roughly 80 offices. These are general agencies, like very large offices, and 160 locations as well for smaller, more rural areas. We are insuring about 1.7 million people in Switzerland. We have about 4,600 employees and 300 trainees. And we are the most valued brand in Switzerland for 13 years in a row. Here is also a comparison of the reputation we have among the different insurances in Switzerland, which shows clearly that we have not just a rational appreciation, but also a very emotional appreciation among our customers, which is usually rather hard to accomplish, having an emotional bondage, not bondage, but emotional component associated with our insurance. Our IT consists of iOS, Linux, and Windows, and ZOS components. We have about roughly 5,000 servers, 5,000 notebooks, and several iPhones, and we use Oracle databases, DB2, MS-SQL, and Neo4j databases. We use off-the-shelf software like one of those SAP software, Business Objects, Siebel, and other applications, as well as quite a few mission-critical applications that are homegrown that we are actively developing. The most important thing in communication is hearing what isn't said. When we first developed our monitoring model, we had several applications monitored, but not all of it, and not everything consolidated at all. Like, we didn't know exactly what stuff would happen. So we looked at what we had. We had the infrastructure, but that would be we developed an aviation analogy to represent our monitoring model. So from the monitoring infrastructure side, this would be equally just using a parachute, which basically has just showing the elevation, maybe temperature. That's it. From there, we looked at it from the service modeling, from all the applications and the servers and what else comes with it. This would be equivalent to a glider, which has contact with a cockpit and with a tower, and has several other indicators of speed, height, altitude, and wind conditions, and weather reports. And the top layer could be considered as the automation layer, which also correlates different events. This would be the equivalent of a normal passenger airplane, which also has connections with the tower, but also has thousands of other indicators that need to be consolidated to be manageable. We call this then the degree of monitoring, of the maturity of monitoring. This is the result of it. On the bottom, we have the monitoring layer, all the infrastructure components, the operating systems, network components, databases, and then we also have the synthetic monitoring and real user monitoring, where we actively sniff out the traffic. And the integration layer, we have the CMDB and the service modeling component and the event console. And then top we have the automation layer and intelligent alarms, which we largely didn't actually implement because we didn't need to. but I come to that later again. And then top of the visualization layer for the IT management, the application owners or service owners, and the operation control center, as well as business dashboards. Here we present the different components that we used from HPE. We have the BPM, the RUM components from HPE, as well as the BSM connector, which plugs into all the infrastructure monitoring on the bottom that can be universally then introduced into OMI and the RTSM, and then the dashboards on top with the workplaces. This represents the OMI and our tower, communication tower. Plans are only good intentions unless they immediately degenerate into hard work. It took us a while to implement it, about a year, but this is the result of it. For the operations control center, this is the dashboard. I'll make an example here. On the top, we have the different event states if they have been edited or have been addressed already. If not, then we have two indicators, 4 hours and more than 8 hours if the incident hasn't been resolved till then. Gives the operation controller some more control and to address the service owners to resolve the issue. Here we have the different components that we monitor and categorized in certain groups, and the history of the critical events as well as the incidents, for the management to see also that we actually do some work and get the incidents down again. And on the bottom, we have all the events that come in. We only address effectively the critical events because the other ones are only addressed by the service owner directly. And on the left side, we have all our critical business applications that we call top applications, so the operation control center can always see if they're affected directly or not. Here we see our benefits. Might not be obvious, but we increased the amount of monitoring tickets by quite a large margin, but that is not negative in that sense because it creates more transparency because we actually see what is going wrong and we can resolve it quickly. Because at the same time, we decreased we call it term average routing rate between when an incident occurs, who can resolve the issue as quickly as possible, meaning if the number would be 1, it would be meaning that every monitoring ticket would have been assigned at least once more before it has reached the right person who can address it. But most of the incidents these days are just assigned the right way, right person. Maybe less than 10% are not assigned correctly. Also, what we see here, in the meantime, to repair monitoring tickets is also going down. But we also see that, considering that we're getting more and more tickets, that it's leveling out. Not surprisingly, because we're adding more and more infrastructure as well as more applications to our environment, no actually reducing staff at the same time. Management is doing things right. Leadership is doing the right things. So how we can support the management? We addressed the IT manager, the operations, the service owners, and the operation control center. And now we come to the business dashboards. It took us roughly about 4 months to deploy the first version of our dashboard for the business. But the initial version that we could show the board of directors right away was within days, actually. Here's also a view, the technical view of what we're using, what components in the bottom are the infrastructure again. with network operating systems, databases, Elasticsearch, log analyzing, and the component that sending then the data to either OMI, this is the lighthouse, or on top or right away to the business value dashboard. And this is the result here for our little country, Switzerland. On the left side we have our most available business data for non-life insurance and life insurances. On the bottom we have new business, created new business, replacing business or cancellation and damages. We also show in a separate curve in the blue, if you can't see it right away, the difference to the past 30 days. If we're above it, that means we're actually improving and getting better and creating more value. On the right side, we have the performance indexes for our two most valuable applications, and the dotted line indicates the SLA line. So if you're below at the SLA level, the management calls us usually. And also on the right side, all the way to the right, we have all our top applications availability. It really actually dips below 100%. And then we have a slider where we can write messages to the business as well if something is important that concerns them. And also the Switzerland map, this is where all our offices located are. It's kind of hard to find actually a Swiss map with a small country on the right side. It's slightly brighter. That's Liechtenstein, one of the smallest countries in the world. So we had to add it ourselves. But also the Swiss map itself shows our availability in green or red for the location if it can work or not. Also we show at the same time in blue circles if they did extraordinarily well selling policies, or in yellow we show also damages if the amount of damages increases by quite large margin. That happens, for example, with a hailstorm. We can see along the map where the storm goes through, actually where several offices are then affected by these damages. Here is a quick slide for our stakeholders in the end. They actually look effectively at our business value areas currently. These are the corporate communications people, the IT operations, of course, the corporate development, and the brand management, and a few developers. The largest group we actually don't know about is within our company, because we give out the link to the dashboard to everyone. So, but we haven't heard any bad things about it. We don't heard any good things about it, and we're looking forward to next year for new demand for the business value dashboard. Thank you. Thomas?
I'd like to take over. Hi everyone. So today I want to tell you something about Event Management 2.0. It's about qualified incidents generated by CMDB-based event correlation. My name is Thomas Kosalek, and this is the agenda I want to follow up with you. First of all, an introduction to our company. Afterwards, I will give you an idea where we started from within our project, and the third thing is I will tell you about the concept and the use cases of Event Management 2.0, and afterwards I will give you an estimation about effort and benefit. So, who we are? We are Beiersdorf. We are skincare. We have a lot of strong brands, and Nivea, Eucerin, Tisa, and so on. And we have been founded in 1882 in Hamburg, Germany. Currently, we have more than 17,000 employees worldwide, and we have more than 150 affiliates in the world. BSS, so Beiersdorf Shared Services, is the strategic partner for Beiersdorf for IT and accounting. We are the nerve center of connecting people worldwide, and we're 100% owned company from Beiersdorf, and we have been founded in 2003. Currently, there are more than 400 people working worldwide for Beiersdorf Shared Services, and yeah, we are 100% virtual company. Means we don't have any hardware servers except the ESX hosts from VMware. So this raises a lot more complexity than you can imagine. My name is Thomas Krusalek. I'm the manager of IT service processes. So I'm responsible for the service processes worldwide and the HPE tools you can see here. So project and portfolio management, service manager, asset manager, universal CMDB, Connect IT, and now also Operations Bridge. Yeah, the starting position. As we started in the beginning of this year, we've seen some challenges. We had plenty of different monitoring tools for each technical level, even several, without logical grouping. Therefore, we received a lot of duplicates because the scope was overlapping. So one outage, one server down, one network down results in numerous automatic events. And this numerous automatic events needs to be handled within the ITSM process in a structured way. Not each time it was that way, and often if you get a lot of incidents, it's hard to find the right root cause. And this was one of the biggest challenges, and the next thing might be even the biggest one, because if you get an incidents for a server, who are the relevant people you have to inform? This is also one challenge we were facing with this and our monitoring topic, monitoring tower, sorry, based on the OSI model. You have the network. It's the network node manager who is monitoring the network. For the hardware, we have two separate tools: the HP SIM, which is controlling really hardware, the vCenter, which is controlling the hardware for storage, for backup, and so on, and also the virtualization, as you see at this at the third level. And for the operating system, we have SCOM and Nagios. And for applications, we have Sub-Solution Manager, SQL Server, Oracle, Sub-Batchman, and Microsoft SCOM, which are sending directly events. What does I mean with they are sending directly events? To create incidents in our service management tool, they are directly sending their events as an incident to our ticket tool. And this was the logic, of course, before we started the project. The service manager is working together with the CMDB, so the service manager itself knows about the services of the server and so on, but the monitoring tool itself has no knowledge about it. So the amount of the automatic incidents at the starting month were nearly 1,300 automatic tickets, and this was a lot. So for us, and what we figured out as we analyzed these 1,300 incidents, there were 50% symptoms or duplicates. So 50%, what does it mean? Half a day. I could spend half a day, or all the staff members that are solving incidents could spend half a day at home, at least, or use the time for other projects, which would be great. A lot of saving potential. Okay, so because what does they do? For each incident, they have to analyze it, they have to document it, and cost a lot of time. Yeah, therefore we developed the concept of Event Management 2.0. The idea was correlate the events automatically based on the CMDB knowledge we have. Find out the root cause, the real root cause, and create the incident correctly, set the service correctly, and give it to the right group. So, what did we do? We bought Operations Bridge, so Operations Manager I-10 and TBAC, and put it in as a black box correlation in the middle, between the tools, the monitoring tools, and the service management tools. Now, all the monitoring tools are sending the events to the Operations Bridge. The Operations Bridge is consuming the knowledge about the service trees and the dependencies from the CMDB. All the configuration knowledge is in Operations Bridge to use, and then there is a correlation which sends only the right incident, the root cause incident, to the service manager. That's the concept. And therefore, that this is really feasible, you need some prerequisites. You need a really well-maintained CMDB. You need a technical discovery so that you can allocate the CIs correctly and the events correctly, and you need well-defined correlation rules. There are some out-of-the-box rules that are working pretty good, but really you have to define based on your infrastructure, based on your application, based on your CIs, your rules, and it's also depending on the sources you set up. That's really an important point. This correlation rules, if you have that done correctly, it's good. Next thing is you need to ensure that you have all events, not only negative events like note down. If you have a note down event, that's necessary, of course, but the note up event could be also necessary. If the computer is just restarting or rebooting or whatever, then you can close the event and the incident afterwards, and no one has to look at. So positive events are also very good. And at least it's really necessary that your CMDB and all the representations in the CMDB are representing the current technical situation and more accurate, the most accurate stand you can get. These are the prerequisites and the requirements of the concept, where it should be based everything on the CMDB knowledge, so the automatic root cause analysis, determining the services, as I said before, creating the incidents, rule-based forwarding to the incident process, but also we want to have updates to existing incidents. And nevertheless, this was the most important point to get the buy-in of the groups that are solving incidents usually. They can control, and their monitoring tools can control the filtering of events, the criticality of events, define failover groups, and so on, so that they have bit control to ensure that there are not too much events, not too much workload. They can ensure their CSI, so their continuous service improvement process, in their hands. And that was really important point. So with this concept, we defined some use cases I want to present here now. So the first is pretty helpful, duplicates, and the best thing of it, an operations manager can recognize duplicates out of the box. This automated recognition of duplicate or doubled alerts, this is really helpful, as you can see in the slide here. There are high numbers of duplicates sometimes, and some of the monitoring tools are just sending and forget. And this point, operations manager is really helpful with the out-of-the-box logic with reducing duplicates. And the good thing is they are creating just one incident and they are publishing updates also. So if you receive a duplicate or an update or something, it's published to the incident too. Well, I think I forgot something. For the most important thing for our black box, it's named black box because no one is looking as an operator to operations manager. That's why we do not invented some perspectives. They are just looking to the real incidents, and all the events are correlated and forwarded. That's maybe important to mention here. Okay. So the second use case, site is not reachable. What does it mean? I think I have to explain first a bit of our technical structure. So we are located in Hamburg. We have our data centers, main data centers located in Hamburg, and then we have 290 sites in the world, which are connected with 2-3 routers. And if we cannot, and the central monitoring tools are also located in Hamburg. So this means if Paris, for example, here is not reachable because the WAN carrier has an outage, and it's even redundant, but it's an outage there, we cannot reach the service in Paris. We cannot reach the applications in Paris. And what we do in this case, we correlate all the events to one root cause event. The routers are not available, so means the site is not available, means site is down, and informing all depending events, all depending teams. This is the way we do that here. Good. So the next case is blackout, means some devices without USP of a site are down, so a percentage down outage. And so in this case, you see our location Spain. We have there a lot of switches and routers and also servers, but some of the routers are only working with the USP, and all the rest could be down. So means a percentage outage, the same symptoms, depending server, depending applications would not be reachable due to network failure, of course, due to blackout, and they would report degradations, outages, whatever. In this case, we can also correlate with TBAC. Yeah. Okay, then we have the simple case. A network device could be down. The related ESX host would not be reachable, and which means also the virtual machines would not be reachable, and also the hosted applications would not be reachable. Also this one simple TBAC rule. All the TBAC rules could be stacked because the OMI will combine them together, and for this reason we only set up so small pieces here. So next piece is pretty simple: server down, application down. So if a hardware host is not reachable, VMs are down and applications are not reachable. Maybe also depending applications are degraded. Yes. So, and you see there are use cases, and you can imagine there are a lot of further use cases like here. If a disk is full, the server functionality is degraded. If a database has an outage, the applications are not working, jobs are aborted. If web servers are down, websites are not available, and so on and so on. So on and so forth. Yeah, now let's come to the benefit and to the effort. So this is the initial slide I showed our management when I was starting the project. It was clear we have 50% of duplicates and symptoms in total, and this is the time we could save when we just reduced to 50% the duplicates and symptoms. And if you assume you have 12 minutes for 10 minutes for analysis, and I think it was 4 minutes or 2 minutes at least for documentation, then in total you come to 65 hours per month, which is a high number. And if you take our internal cost rate, you save 7,150 euros. And if you, in this month where I did the analysis, we had six times to disturb the IT staff at night. This means they cannot work next day. And they get, in addition, they get money for the night. This means we have a loss of money, and we have to pay them for the work at night, which is fine, of course, but you have to spend it, which means 6,000 euros. And now, imagine you can recover your systems faster than an outage. It's priceless. Okay, so now I did an ROE calculation on it. We have licenses, maintenance, server operations, initial project. We have this reduced time to repair, and we have the reduced outages at night. And you see here, licenses with depreciation, 60,000, maintenance 30,000, server operations 21,000, initial project 20,000. And by the way, we did this within 1 month, and that's why the first year is a bit reduced. With the mean time to repair reducement, we have 78,000. The outage at night reducement, we have 66,000. And you see in total, we have a positive result in the first year. And if you look to the next years, so from the second year on, you have nearly 50,000 saving. And after the 6th year, because the depreciation of the licensees will end, after the 6th year, you have a permanent saving of more than 100,000 per year. And as I showed them this, they want to have it. Our next steps, we have a step-by-step approach. We started with the network. Now we are working with the server events, and the next steps will be backup events, storage events, vCenter integration. And next year we will go to applications, so Active Directory, Exchange, and Skype. And then we will start with the business application. So thank you for your attention. And now I like to hand over to Robert. So Robert, can you please?
Great. So thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Daniel, for your presentations. You shared with us a lot of important information on how the solution has improved the IT operations at your 2 organizations in Germany and Switzerland. And now we have some time to go through some of the questions that have come in during the presentation. And I am going to basically ask the question and then either Daniel or Thomas will have to decide, who wants to answer it and give their appropriate answer. So one of the questions we have is, what is the impact of using Operations Bridge rather than using the different IT consoles or the tools used before? Hello?
I think this should be answered by Daniel best, because we have a black box. No one is using our OMI console.
Okay. Daniel?
Well, we had several different, for us we had so many different monitoring applications that we needed to unify to have a single pane of view of our IT. The OpsBridge allows us to do that, and it allowed the operation control center to streamline our effort. In the end, these days we have about 30, 40 incidents per day we have to effectively deal with. So we didn't need to automate in that sense that far yet. Might be in the future, but not yet.
Great. Thank you, Daniel. Another question that came in from Mark Benoit. Excuse me if I don't pronounce your name correctly, but I try. At Mobilair, I see that Splunk is integrated with OMI. Could you please describe that integration a little bit more in detail?
We only use an event integration with Splunk. Technically it's an SMTP trap, because all the infrastructure is monitored through either SCOM for the Windows side or Xenos or Zabbix from the Linux side, because then we have all that topology, that infrastructure information already from that monitoring system, so we don't need any more information from Splunk. Because in the end, they always use Splunk then to analyze further the details, because Splunk has way more information that we can provide in the OpsBridge.
All right. Thank you very much. We have a question now from Chris. He's asking, is it possible to do event correlation without relying on an accurate CMDB?
Thomas, that's your...
Yeah, I think you really need an accurate CMDB. So imagine you have a virtual environment, and on the ESX host, only the VMwares are switching from one ESX host within a cluster to another ESX host. If the ESX host fails and the other VMs are down, maybe this important application is not affected, and you're reporting the wrong one, and the wrong team is disturbed maybe at night. This would cost a lot of money just because it's not accurate. And this could happen, so for this reason you need a really accurate database. So in our, and when I should tell time frame, I think 20 minutes, at maximum 20 minutes, 30 minutes. This should be the actual time frame.
Great, thank you, Thomas. It all goes back to, you have to have good input to get good output. So if you don't have a complete CMDB, it's more difficult to get the results you're looking for. We have another question from Mark, who's asking, at Beiersdorf Shared Services, for the correlated events that cause an application outage or degradation, do you create incidents for both the infrastructure and also for the application support team? For example, server outage for the infrastructure and also for the application support team.
No, we do not do this. We had the idea in the beginning to do that, but we finally decided not to disturb the other groups. We solved the information gap with reporting solutions. So for the ticket we created for the root cause, only for the root cause, and not if the server is the root cause, and we will not get any ticket for the application. But in the ticket of the server, we will name all, or we're naming all the services that that are also affected, and so that all groups that are affected can report on it. So they can get even a daily extract if there are some data inside. So that's the way we do that.
Great,
so,
thank
no,
you very
we do
much.
not create 2 tickets. No.
Very good, thank you very much. So the next question is, how has the automation helped you, and has this had an impact on the IT's reputation in your business and your stakeholders' opinion?
I think I will answer first, Daniel. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the good thing, if the monitoring is working fine, the business doesn't realize anything, and that's the best thing of it. So no, our reputation has not changed because the business doesn't even know that something has happened. We are proactive whenever whenever there was an outage. Sometimes even before the business realize, we have already solved the issue. So, and even before we have all our votings within our with our customers were nearly 5 stars from 5. So no, nothing has changed.
Great. Daniel, would you like to share anything?
Sure. Before this project started with OpsBridge, I mean, we had monitoring with our monitoring solutions. We had information, but not the whole picture. The result was that we got sometimes tickets from our offices that say, like, this application is slow, but we don't know, where or why it's happening. This has completely stopped. These days we are actually also proactive in our monitoring. We have rarely really failures of the software itself, or like that the insurers they can actively work with the application regardless if you have an outage or not. We are set up that way these days, and I mean they're happy with us. As never been better. I mean.
Wow. Well, that's actually.
They're still surprised sometimes when they see on the Swiss map, for example, a red dot, and they didn't realize they have a problem, but by the time they actually make a call, whatever, to ask what's going on, usually it's already resolved. So.
Great.
And usually it's not our fault. It's usually external sources like network providers and stuff else. Like, for example, if a digger cuts through the fiber optic cable.
Right. Well, what I'm hearing from both of you gentlemen is the solution has helped you to be so proactive that the business users aren't noticing many outages or problems because you're proactively resolving them before they become noticeable. So that's a huge accomplishment, and obviously must benefit your collective IT organizations greatly. Mamta has a question she's asked of Thomas, and it's, how did you build the CMDB model to implement correlation use cases? In less than 60 seconds, Thomas.
So we took over the CMDB model from HPE. We integrated the CMDB model to, we enriched a bit to the OMI, and we just transfer the data. So, and then based on the relationships we designed T-bag rules. I think this best fits your question. And I think under 60 seconds.
Wonderful. Well, I wasn't actually timing you, but thank you.
No, I get it.
That's I was thinking that you could go on for an hour explaining all of those details, and we obviously don't have that much time. But thank you. We have another question from Mariana, and it's you mentioned in the presentation that it took about a year to roll out the solution. How many resources does it take to maintain the HPE tool set, including the scripting and coding of the correlation rules?
At Swiss Mobilair, we are three people, but none of us actually full-time, 80% each one of us. And then we need to work with the different services, platform service, application services, to get the rest. But each team outside of us has their own monitoring solutions. We are not involved in that. We just grab their data.
Okay. Well,
yeah.
I thank you.
On our side, we are also 3 people, but not only for Operations Bridge. We are 3 people for all the tools I mentioned before. So currently, we are maintaining the OMI less than 10%. Only when the groups, the special groups, are requesting something, then we enrich the T-bag rules. So currently there's no big maintenance effort.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Thomas. I have another question. Some say that applications are all that matter in IT operations. What is your view, and can you explain a little bit your answer? Either Daniel or Thomas.
So I think that's a very IT-centric view. So my point of view is more customer-centric and service-oriented. So whenever someone tells me applications are the only thing that counts, no, applications can be exchanged. The important thing is that you support your customer and the way the customer needs. And I think that's everything I could tell at this point.
Okay, thank you for that answer. The next question obviously goes to what I would call the focus of the presentation, in the sense that to what degree of event reduction has been obtained using the OpsBridge, and how did you obtain that reduction?
So, Daniel, will you start?
I mean, I showed and the 3 slides are more our biggest benefits that we gain from it, and how we're reducing it further, even though we're increasing our application stacks, our servers, generally our infrastructure, and our services.
Okay. On our side,
if you want a number, then we used it more than 50%. Well.
Great.
On our side, I only have the number for network, because on servers and on applications we are just still creating T-bag rules and stream-based rules. Only for the network worldwide, we have a reduction of 30% of events, but the most effect was what I mentioned with the events before. You need to have the right events, the positive and negative events. We have 60% of all our incidents that have been created once are closed automatically by OMI, because it realizes that the root cause, it doesn't exist anymore. So 30% in the network, and in server and application part 60% by closing automatically.
Great. Okay.
Robert, I think we need to stop the webinar now.
Okay. Well, we're getting to the point where we're going to wrap up. There are a few remaining questions that will be answered in their entirety after the webinar is done. If somebody wants to forward to the closing slides for me, please. Great. So again, we want to thank you for attending today and taking time out of your schedules to join us and learn from both Daniel and Thomas. We want to thank the two presenters for their contribution and their experience and knowledge that they've shared with us today and the results that they've received. We want to remind everybody that there is the Discover London 2016 event, and we want you to try to think about attending and joining us there at that event. You can register using the link at the bottom of this slide. If you've never attended a Discover event, you would be very pleased to know that there are tens of thousands of IT executives, architects, engineers, and business users that attend these events, and they come together to share their ideas and their experiences with technology and IT. And the events go for several days, and you can also attend very specific training or deep dives into some of the technology from HPE Enterprise. So we look forward to seeing you, if possible, in London, November 29th through December 1st. So please mark your calendars and see if you can join us. Next slide, please. So here are the top 10 reasons why you could reason to present your case for attending the Discover event in London. I'm not going to read all of these, but certainly take a look at them, and perhaps it can add value to your case for why it would be beneficial for your organization to send somebody to attend the Discover event in London, November 29th through December 1st. Next slide, please. So again, we wanted to thank all of you for attending today. We please ask you to take a short survey and opt in for more information from our different organizations, from HPE and from the Vivid worldwide organization. Please encourage your colleagues to join Vivid and become part of this worldwide organization for events like these webinars, and then there's special interest groups. And again, we thank the entire Vivid organization for presenting this today, for the support from HP Software, and specifically to Thomas and Daniel for their contributions today. Thank you very much, and have a great day wherever you are in the world, and we look forward to seeing you at Discover in end of November. Thank you again, and remember, all the questions and answers will be published to the Vivid website after the event in a day or two, and the actual recorded presentation will also be posted on the Vivid website if you care to look at it again or share with some of your colleagues. Take care. Have a great day. Thank you, everybody. Bye for now.